Hi friends, in class we've been reading some different versions of Cinderella. So today I have a book by Janet Pearlman called Cinderella Penguin or The Little Glass Flipper. I wonder what this book is going to be about. Let's look at some picture clues to make some predictions. I wonder who these people are. I wonder who this might be. I even see a little mouse in the background. Let's read and find out. There once was a young penguin named Cinderella who lived in a faraway land with her stepmother and two stepsisters. Cinderella was a kind and gentle penguin, but her stepsisters were selfish and vain. Cinderella did all the chores. She even had to pick up after her stepsisters, while they never had to do a thing. Look, we see Cinderella hard at work. We see these might be the stepsisters since they're talking and not working. The sisters wore the finest of clothes and slept in large, cozy feather beds with silk sheets and fluffy pillows. Poor Cinderella wore nothing but worn-out tatters and slept in the cold stone cellar, up on a small shelf beside some old tin plates. Ooh, look, we can see kind of the differences between how they're sleeping and the clothes that they're wearing from the picture. So we may not know what the finest of clothes means, but we can see that they have very nice clothes on. And tatters looks like some ripped clothes here that she has, like some old rags. One day, it was announced that the Penguin Prince was giving a costume ball. The stepsisters and their mother received an invitation. Cinderella wanted to go too, but they just laughed at her. The prince would never want to meet a shabby cinder block like you. Ooh, she looks kind of shocked by what they said. For weeks, the house was filled with talk of the ball. The sisters had costumes made of the finest fabrics. They ate only the tiniest meals so they could have the tiniest waists. And they were always in front of the mirror, posing and practicing their curtsies, which are kind of like bows. Look at them working hard. Cinderella's helping get them ready. I wonder how they're feeling about going to the ball. They seem like they're really excited, but also a little bit nervous. They want to make sure they look their best. Finally, the night of the ball arrived. Cinderella rushed about, ironing her stepsisters' costumes and helping them dress. Then, without a thank you or goodbye, the carriage swept the stepmother and stepsisters off to the ball. Cinderella burst into tears. She felt so alone and unhappy. We can see from the picture how she's feeling. It looks like she's crying. Look at this. I wonder what that might be. Suddenly, a glow of blue light. The great fairy penguin appeared before her. "Why are you crying, Cinderella? Do you want to go to the ball?" she asked. Cinderella blinked back her tears. "Oh, yes, more than anything." "Then you shall." I wonder what the fairy godmother has up her sleeve, or the great fairy penguin. "First," said the fairy penguin, "you must fetch me a pumpkin from the garden." Fetch means to go grab. Cinderella didn't know how a pumpkin could help her get to the ball, but she quickly brought her the best one she could find. The fairy gave it a firm tap with her wand, and it magically turned into a golden carriage. What's happening here? Then the great fairy penguin went to the kitchen and found 6 mice carrying a huge chunk of cheese. With the tap of her wand, they turned into a handsome team of 6 horses. She turned the cheese into a fat coachman in a uniform. They all marched out the door and took their places, as if they were the most natural thing to do. "Now you can go to the ball. Are you happy, Cinderella?" asked the fairy. "Oh, yes," said Cinderella, but she looked sadly down at her ragged clothes. So I asked you on the last page what's happening. The fairy penguin is using her magic to create and change a couple things around. Looks like she's trying to make it possible for Cinderella to go somewhere, maybe to the ball. "Oh, I almost forgot," said the fairy. And with the tap of a wand, Cinderella Penguin's rags became a beautiful gown with a gold trimming and a gold tiara. On her feet were a pair of glass flippers, the prettiest and most delicate that Cinderella had ever seen. Ooh, notice that they're not glass slippers, they're glass flippers because they're on a penguin. Now, one last thing, said the great fairy penguin. The magic spell ends at the stroke of midnight. The carriage will turn back into a pumpkin, the horses back into mice, and the coachman into cheese, and you'll again be dressed in rags. So you must leave the ball before midnight. Cinderella promised to remember. Then, waving goodbye, she stepped into the carriage and rode off, her heart filled with joy. Ooh, it looks like her emotions are changing a lot. Earlier, she was crying because she was really upset she couldn't go to the ball. And now we see that she's filled with joy. I wonder if she's going to remember to leave at midnight or what might happen in this one. When Cinderella arrived at the palace, the ball was in full swing. She was welcomed with a fanfare of trumpets, and she marveled to see many fine penguins wearing such magnificent costumes. Her stepmother and stepsisters didn't notice her. They were too busy gobbling down snacks and party sandwiches at the buffet tables. But the penguin prince noticed Cinderella at once. "Who is she?" he asked his courtiers. "She is the most beautiful penguin I have ever seen." Ooh, look, we see them in a palace. We were talking earlier about how these magical things, like princes and palaces, are elements of fairy tales. Cinderella had never met as handsome and charming a penguin as the prince. From their first dance, he never left her side. They whirled and twirled around the dance floor to the applause of the admiring crowd. "Who is the beautiful young penguin who has captured the prince's attention so completely?" everyone whispered. "What a handsome couple! How well they dance together," they sighed. Cinderella had never been so happy. She wished the night could last forever. We can see the different pictures of them dancing. Oh, look, she has a rose in her mouth. Ooh, they have balloons, all kinds of fun things. Then, suddenly, she glanced up at the clock. In all the excitement, she had completely forgotten the fairy's warning. What was the warning? Oh, yeah, she had to leave by midnight. "Oh," she cried, "it's almost midnight. I have to go." And she ran from the palace in such a hurry that one of her glass flippers fell off and was left lying on the step. As Cinderella rode away in her carriage, the prince called out, "Oh, please don't go." But she was gone. He picked up the glass flipper and said sadly, "Who was she? I don't even know her name." We can see these quotation marks. That means that he's talking. The next day, it was announced that the prince would marry the penguin whose foot fit the little glass flipper. There was great excitement throughout the land. First, all the princesses tried it on, and then all the penguins of the court, but the flipper was always too small. The royal footmen were commanded to take the flipper from house to house. The stepsisters spent the whole day perfuming and powdering their feet. "Cinderella," said the stepmother, "your clothes are too ragged to be seen by the royal footmen. Go downstairs and polish the silver until they leave." "Oh, please, I would like to try on the flipper too," said Cinderella, knowing it would fit her perfectly. The stepsisters laughed, but then they looked down at Cinderella's webbed feet. For the first time, they noticed how delicate they were. Ooh, look, we can see them all looking down at her feet. Look at them looking downward. Look, we can see the difference between the feet. A knock came on the front door. "Quick, hide her," said the stepsisters. They grabbed Cinderella and threw her down the cellar steps and slammed the door shut. Oh, poor Cinderella. She laid upside down with her foot caught tight in the door, unable to get free. Oh no, look at them. They're hurrying away. They don't even notice that her foot is caught. When the footman came in, the stepsisters pushed and shoved to be the first one to try on the flipper. They were so intent on snatching the flipper from each other that it slipped away from their grasp, flying high in the air and landed squarely on Cinderella's foot. Everyone stared. It was a perfect fit. Look at them. They're very intrigued. They're kind of shocked. Uh-oh. As the footman opened the door and helped Cinderella up, the great fairy penguin appeared. With the tap of her magic wand, she transformed Cinderella's tattered rags into magnificent clothes she had worn to the ball. Cinderella was overjoyed. "Oh, thank you, Fairy Penguin. I thank you with all my heart." The stepmother's and stepsister's beak dropped wide open. They stared at Cinderella, spluttering with amazement. "Look! Oh my, it's her! Oh no! Oh dear, we really put our foot in it!" The Penguin Prince and Cinderella Penguin were married the very next day, and the wedding bells rang throughout the land. Never before anyone remembers such a joyous and happy wedding. Ooh, look, here's our castle. Cinderella and the prince truly loved each other, and they lived happily together ever after. So there's our magic words, happily ever after. Did you find any other fairy tale elements as we read through the Cinderella Penguin book? Did you notice anything that was the same or different about other Cinderella books that we've read so far in class? Let me know.